I just wanted to get on here and talk about the passing of my daughter. It was just recently. It was a month ago, just a little bit over a month ago. And I'm having a really hard time. And I just thought that maybe filming it and putting a video up, could help, and could also help other people that are going through the same thing. I just thought that I should share my story, and it kind of brings a little bit of comfort because I'm letting the world know that my daughter did exist. So I'm just gonna start off. My daughter was diagnosed with Trisomy 18. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I went in for my 20-week checkup, ultrasound, to let me know what gender, Went in with my husband and my kids, and we were super excited. We were there getting our ultrasound done, and the lady was super sweet and made it super fun for the kids too while she's checking. And while she was checking, like the measurements and everything, the heart, I kind of had a little bit of a feeling something was wrong. She would kind of, measure the heart, and then I noticed that, the chambers weren't connected. So there was a hole in the heart. And I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay, well, maybe, I don't remember. I do have two other kids. And so I'm like, maybe I forgot what it looks like at this stage. I don't know. It doesn't seem anything alarming from her. She's making it happy and fun. And then we didn't want our kids to know. We wanted to surprise them on the gender, and so we told her to type it out, so we'd know. And she typed it out, and it said it's a girl, and so we were so excited. And she finished off, and she held my hand, and she said, it doesn't look good. And I just want to give you a heads up because there's another doctor that's going to come in and talk to you about it. And I was kind of in shock. I'm like, what? That's not possible. How can it happen to me? And she left the room, and I think she actually took the kids and took them to a different room. And I started crying, and I was just in shock, really. I was just trying to process all of this. And to me, I thought, okay, there's something wrong, but maybe we can fix it. There's hope. I'll still be able to get my baby, And by this time, I was 20 weeks along. I was 19 or 20 weeks along. And I seriously didn't think anything of it. I was just like, okay, we can do this. But I was really upset still. And my husband was really concerned. He was there calming me down. And the doctor comes in, and she starts explaining what's going on. And she proceeded to do the ultrasound again. And she was just kind of showing us what's wrong. So she said that our baby had a huge hole in her heart. She had 2 cysts in her brain. So, and they took up most of her brain as well, so it wasn't developing well. She also had a clubbed foot, and those were all 3 were indications of trisomy 18, and they're in the Down syndrome family. And at that point, I still didn't think anything of it. I'm like, okay, we can do this. That's no big deal. That's no problem. And so she proceeded to say that they don't survive. And she's like, and if they do survive pregnancy and you have the baby, full full term or whenever the baby comes, they don't pass the first year. And she even said, I'm thinking 3 months. And so I'm like, what? And we were so devastated. And she said, we're not for sure. We just see these indications at ultrasound, and we would want to do an amnio test, where they go in and they get a little bit of the amniotic fluid. She's like, we can do it right now. It takes about 30 minutes, and then the procedure itself doesn't take very long. I was uncontrollable. Like, I couldn't do that right now. So we decided that we're going to think it over the weekend. Well, not really think it over the weekend. It was more like, we'll wait the weekend to calm down and then process all of it and then get it done. I believe it was on a Wednesday, I believe, the next Wednesday. So that was on a Friday. This was this Wednesday, or next Wednesday after that. And I went. I was super nervous. I was so nervous. And also just the fact of me being so sad, it didn't help. So I was a wreck. And they weren't lying. It takes forever to set up this procedure. And I was just so nervous. Finally, they came in and they were super nice about it. And of course, they have to do an ultrasound to make sure that they do it in a location where they won't harm the baby. So it didn't hurt. I just felt a little bit of cramping and just a little pinch, but it wasn't bad. I think the part that was bad was me knowing that there's something wrong, and then me seeing my daughter through the ultrasound and just seeing that, and then me getting emotional. And I was trying so hard not to start crying because she has the needle in there. And so she starts taking the fluids, and she said the fluid looks great. It's nice and clear. And so they do that, and they gave me the test results 2 or 3 days after. So they called me on that Friday. So 2 days. They called me Friday, and it was a genetic counselor, and she told me that they confirmed it, that the baby did have trisomy 18, and there's no chance of survival. And of course, I had done research on it and everything, and I've heard stories of people that actually do have their babies, and some of them do survive, but they have lots of complications. And me and my husband talked about it, having to just decide if you want to wait and see when the baby decides to go, or see if it maybe will make it through birth and then wait until the baby passed away. To take in consideration of our 2 kids that we already have, because they were so excited, and we had to tell them what was going on, and they were really crushed. Talked about it a lot. I let my family know, and they were all really sweet and supportive. But at that point, I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to see my family. I didn't want to see any friends. I pretty much wanted to be home with my husband and my kids. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to see anybody. Kept to myself. And it was more of like we were grieving already, or trying to process it. I don't know. And we came to the decision of inducing labor and bringing our baby and meeting her, at least even for a few moments, a few minutes, or not even that, because our reasoning was we didn't want to have our baby suffer. We don't want to see our baby suffer. If it makes it, if the baby makes it, we didn't want to see her suffer. And we didn't want our kids to see the little sister suffer. That was the hardest decision we've ever had to make. I know there's a lot of people that are super against it, but for us, that brought us a little bit, just a tiny bit of comfort, knowing that she won't suffer. And the doctor's even telling us that she had a huge hole in her heart. None of the chambers were connected. And having those cysts, she would never walk. And really, they just told me that it just doesn't look good. That we want to see her. We want to meet our baby, obviously, and say goodbye. So we decided that we are going to induce labor. I think I waited a week and I was able to get in, and they scheduled me when to come into the hospital, and we went, and it was 10 o'clock at night, and it was horrible. Go in and you check in and you see all these moms coming in, super excited because they're about to be in labor and meet their beautiful babies. And I'm in there about to say goodbye to mine. That was really hard. All the nurses were super sweet, very understanding, super sweet, and just so warm. And just, I thought that maybe I was gonna get looked down on or judged by my decision. I've never been induced before with my other two kids, so I didn't know what to expect. And they told me you don't have to, you know, obviously dilate, because I was, at that point, I was 22 weeks along, so the baby was small too, was behind on the growth too, so she wasn't very big. And they told me that you only have to dilate to maybe a 2 or 3. They started to insert these tablets, I forget what they're called, but they're little tablets that dissolve, and they insert it vaginally. And at first they were giving me like a tiny bit, like a piece of the tablet, and nothing really was happening towards the end. So I was in labor a total of almost 30 hours. It's like normal labor, but to me it felt like it was worse just because I was so emotional, and I was trying to be strong, but I also wanted to just let it all out because I was going through this horrible process. My parents visit me, and my mother-in-law, and also let them meet the baby and say goodbye. So I was in a lot of pain, and they gave me some medication to kind of numb down the pain a little bit. Towards the end, it was getting pretty bad because they upped the dosage almost 4 times so it could just get going. And I decided to get an epidural because I wanted to be, I don't know, I just wanted to be there and just process what was about to happen. I got my epidural, but my epidural wasn't kicking in. I felt like my legs were numb, but the pain wasn't going away. It was actually getting a lot worse. And the nurse was like, because I was like clenching on the side of the bed, "You need to lay on your back, it'll kick in." But it wasn't kicking in, and so she's like, "Let me just check you and we can wait it out there." But at this point I was like, oh yeah, no, I was not comfortable. So she checked me, and I could see her expression. She immediately was like, "Oh, okay," and called all the nurses. My doctor didn't even make it on time. The nurses actually delivered the baby. So I just decided to push because I felt like I needed to push. I pushed, and my baby came out. My husband saw it, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, the baby is in the sack," like the whole sack came out. I was so emotional, and the nurses were super sweet. They were like getting everything super quick because they wanted me to have that chance, if the baby was alive, to have skin to skin contact. And sure enough, my baby was alive, and they could hear a heartbeat, and they placed her on my chest,